everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Richard Stray here, along with my pals Randy Rosenblum and Bob Gibson. Can you believe it? Bob is alive and well. How you fellas been doing? How was your week, man?
Feeling good, feeling good.
Yeah, Rich, it's great in the San Fernando Valley. Still warm.
Yeah, isn't it? You still got getting your exercise, Randy? Still working out? Getting ready for the coach to put you back in?
Yep, I'm ready to play. I'm fit and ready to go.
All right, fellas, good show tonight. Randy, introduce our guest. Let's bring him in early tonight.
All right, we'll start with Dick Dornan. He's the Sports Information Director. There he is, waving at the LA City section. Dick will give us the insight on what's going on with the LA City section. We have Coach Ralph Grajeda from Yucaipa High School. Great baseball coach out there, won a 2018 CIF championship. So those are the gentlemen that we'll be cross-examining tonight, Rich.
Cross-examining is a good word. Hey, fellas, thanks for joining us. We have you here, obviously, for obvious reasons. Of course, Dornan, of course, the LA City section is very important. And basically, why don't you give us some insight into what's going on right now? What's the LA City section thinking in terms of sports and the school year, much less? What do you have to tell us?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. It's a very fluid situation, and we're hoping to have answers here in the next few weeks. This past week, our commissioner, Vicky Lagos, met with the commissioners of all 10 sections and the CIF state office over a 3-day Zoom meeting to discuss the various contingency plans, the options out there, what might occur. And what they ultimately decided last week was they put a date out there of July 20th, where they would like to share some resolution with everybody out there if the school districts don't share anything between now and then. Because the school districts and the charter organizations and any private schools, they dictate, obviously, when schools will reopen. They dictate extracurriculars like athletics, when they can resume, in what phase, whether it be 1 to phase 2 and so forth. But so far, everyone's been very, very quiet, and rightfully so, as they listen to the health guidelines set forth by the various counties. For us, it's LA County, where all our schools are located. And so, but the state CIF office and the commissioners felt, you know what, we need to share some information. So July 20th is a date that if there is not information provided by school districts by then, they will collectively make a decision of the fall sports, whether that means start up in August, delay till October, or even potentially push everything back until second semester.
Wow. That's something a lot of guys are considering. Coach, what about you guys right now as far as, you guys are in limbo as well. Things didn't quite, aren't panning out the way you wish they would, where you can work out and get your summer ball in and everything else. So where are you guys at right now?
At the high school right now, we're at a dead period. We're done. Our dead period ends June 22nd. So next. But we're waiting to see what the state guidelines are going to be, how we're going to reopen. And it's a district by district decision. And our district's kind of waiting to see what CIF comes up with. And then we're going to follow that protocol and kind of go from there and make a decision. We're still trying to decide how we're going to go about when school's going to open up. I mean, we've heard anywhere from going in August like we normally do to after Labor Day. So we're just kind of sitting waiting and going from there. That's really about it.
So you were like 13, 14 games into your season when the plug got pulled to end everything. That had to be just a horrible moment to have to break that to your team that season, especially for the seniors, that season wasn't gonna conclude.
We were 11 games in, yeah, and so we were turning the corner pretty well, and we saw it kind of coming. Obviously, we saw district by district start to close a little bit, or actually not a little bit, just starting to close. And then I think we were one of the last leagues to fold our tents, basically because 2 schools in our district, they decided to, halt sports as well. And then we were kind of last ones like, well, there's nobody else to play, so we're going to just basically shut it down. We waited. I know our school waited until the very last minute until CIF decided that the season was over. We were going to try to hang on to hope, however it was. I know in our league, in the Citrus Belt League, the baseball coaches were trying to find ways to finish the season. depending on what CIF did at the time for the Southern section. So we were willing to just finish our league. And then we had plans where if social distancing was lifted, we were going to try to actually finish our league games as club teams, just so our seniors would have some sort of, some senior moments of playing their last senior year of high school baseball. But that never really happened. That was a really, really tough scenario, not just for my kids, but just all spring athletes. It was rough. We didn't see it coming, and it was tough to tell a senior. A lot of when you coach, a lot of kids, they're never going to play again. As much as they want to play at the next level or college baseball or anything like that, a majority of them are never going to play again. And to have that happen in that fashion was really tough. I mean, I was on the phone with a lot of our seniors and parents, and continue to try to guide them, to the next step for them. But that was very rough for sure.
Dick, I know in talking to a number of coaches this week in the LA City section in football, many have expressed the thought that they might end up starting in January. How real a possibility is that?
It's one of the stronger possibilities, and only in the sense that as long as you have social distancing guidelines out there, you can't have contact sports. And so right now, I mean, is August a feasible date to get started? More than likely not. I think right now the priority for LAUSD and for our charter schools is simply to reopen schools and get the students acclimated to whatever that might be, whether it be a hybrid system or so forth. And then they would look into the other options for athletics and other extracurriculars. But with that being said, Randy, that is one option. And we have talked about it, and it's going to be considered by not only our section, but other sections, potentially for the state. But what the unique thing is, the northern part of California is doing well, considering what LA County is going through, or San Diego, or San Francisco. So the northern area could potentially start up football, maybe Labor Day, where the South can't because of what's going on, the high risk rate of infections and unfortunately the deaths. But we are looking at potentially starting up in January, and there is discussion maybe starting up in December with an acclimation period for 4 weeks. So December, let's just say December 1st could be a potential starting date for all fall sports, just to acclimate themselves back in the flow of things, come back from Christmas break, and now start up athletic competition, assuming the second wave doesn't hit during that time span. And now you begin the fall sports really rolling in January. Potentially winter would begin in mid-February, and the spring would start in March, and everything would be, in the ideal world, culminating in June. Because our goal, and basically the whole goal for all sections in California, is to provide student athletes with 3 seasons of sport. We don't want to do with what occurred in the spring. So we don't want to start up here in August or September, and then November, oh, sorry, fall sports season's over, no championships, no playoffs. We want to put our athletes in the best position possible to enjoy their athletic seasons for all 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring. And one option is maybe we do everything second semester to get all 3 accomplished.
Dick, you got quite the challenge. This whole thing's a challenge, City. But Coach Grajeda, you got the biggest challenge because the southern section, there's so many districts.
Yeah.
I mean, a district may close down. That's not in your league, obviously, particular, or anybody in your district if you're open. But a few other districts may just close it down and leave you with a void, in terms of games and stuff like that. So it's a bigger challenge for you guys, because if one shuts it down, they may all just shut it down. May all collapse.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the southern section is going to go from a standpoint where if there's 75% participation by schools, they're going to have championships. Is that correct?
Bob?
Coach, I've not heard that number. I have not heard that number. I don't know, but I'll rely on the coach's information on that.
We'll go with that. We're not questioning that.
That makes sense, though. It does make sense.
It's just that it's district by district.
Yeah, I want to say I read that. Mr. Dornan can speak to that if he's heard that as well, but that's kind of what we had heard.
Yeah, I don't know on behalf of the Southern section. That sounds reasonable because I don't know how many districts you guys have, maybe over 25 or 30. So there's so much to be aligned. Ventura County could be up and going with Orange County and maybe even up, in the Inland Empire, but not other counties, Like, for example, I heard El Segundo about 3 weeks ago, the El Segundo, they came out and said no fall sports. So if you got
that's
El
the
Segundo,
challenge.
yeah, so
that's
how
the challenge for the Southern section is the districts.
Yeah, and the private schools. There's a lot of private schools. So every private school, you got the Archdiocese who oversees certain Catholic schools. You got private schools like Harvard Westlake and Sierra Canyon who are their own entity. So that's a Southern section. With us, we have 156 member schools, 88 of which are LAUSD. But from our experience, the charter schools usually follow the lead of what LAUSD does. And as of today, LAUSD has not given us any clue of where they might think about fall sports. And so that's why the July 20th date has come forward.
Okay. Interesting. Now, Rob, that was my point. Your challenge is going to be bigger to keep the schedules going. Not to mention, if everybody does move everything to the second semester, after the new year, we're going to have, these schools are going to have a shortage of athletes because a lot of athletes play 2-3 sports. Let's face it.
Yeah. The smaller schools are going to get impacted. They really are. I mean, the smaller schools are going to get, because they're sharing athletes, they're multi-sport athletes. I was just thinking from a facility standpoint, that's going to be a
big challenge.
Yeah. And then officials usually coach, 3 different.
Didn't think about that.
3 different sports as well. I mean, they do football, then they do basketball, then they do baseball. And now you've got them all going at the same time. Unless you stagger that out, you have facilities to stagger that out or change league days to Saturdays, or you're going to have to get dynamic with it for sure.
Excellent
Dick,
point,
do you
Coach.
believe that the city section could overlap and run properly both football and basketball simultaneously?
Well, we've just hit probably the 3 biggest obstacles. One are the officials, no doubt. There's a shortage of officials in California in general, and a lot of them do multiple sports. So that's going to be an issue right there for getting enough officials for enough sports. Number 2 is the facilities, no doubt. I mean, you got basketball in the gym, boys volleyball in the gym, girls volleyball gym, competitive cheer in the gym. And then outside you got baseball, softball, track going around the field, football practice going on.
Oh, man.
Facility concerns will be a major issue for the athletic directors. No doubt about that. And then the third one is, the multi-sport athlete. This might be one year where, unfortunately, athletes sacrifice other sports in order to just get that one sport in. Or maybe they do a fall sport and a spring sport, but not a fall winter or not a winter spring. It'd be tough. These are unusual times. And so
man.
The LA City section, we'll be ready to go. We'll have our calendars set, and we'll make the best of the situation with all our athletic directors.
I wanted to ask Coach real quick. There's been talk, and we mentioned here earlier that football could be moved to the spring. What are your opinions on having football in the spring? Obviously, baseball is the spring. Could there be a scenario where things are flip-flopped? Maybe baseball goes to a different season where football gets pushed back, or is that not fair to the baseball kids, or is that easier to do? I mean, so many different scenarios being bandied about, but I want to ask Coach what you think about, having football kind of plop down in the spring, which is, of course, traditionally, baseball, softball, track and field.
Well, first and foremost, I think we all want it to be safe for our student athletes and coaches and everybody involved. So if that scenario presents itself and it's the best course of action, I understand it, but I do have some reservations for it. Just from a legislation standpoint, usually when things are changed seasons, it's really hard to get them back to where they were before. That's just what I've seen traditionally in being a teacher in general. But as far as moving into the spring, I think it would be tough in the fact that most kids, you're playing baseball in the spring, you're identifying with spring training, kids that are being recruited by colleges. It's usually around that time when they're being recruited. It may not fall in the same calendar for the NCAA to recruit these kids, right? So the calendars may be different when normally it's in the spring when they can see them as well. Right. Spring training is associated with, they go to college games. So many things are identified in the spring with baseball. But again, at the end of the day, if it's about safety and erring on the side of caution for student athletes and families and coaches, I totally understand that. Would I like to see it in the fall? No. I really would like to see it in the spring. But again, these are very unique times. I've heard that conversation in the past because of weather, inclement weather, and those types of things. But there's always been weather in the spring, and we've always got it in. So yeah, that's a unique perspective.
We get weather year round. I can remember some football finals when they're driving rainstorms. So we're going to get weather no matter what season it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but Coach Grajeda, I know you're going to play Birmingham in the upcoming baseball season, so you're going to cross over and get a flavor of the LA City section. Birmingham's won the last 3 LA City section championships.
We're going to play them in the off season. We're going to play them in December. I had a chance to meet their coach when we played them last October in a tournament, and yeah, they are a powerhouse, and what a great opportunity to play somebody outside of our section that we normally don't play. And get a chance to be tested in the fall. We both get to find out what type of clubs we have, and it's a great opportunity. So looking forward to it. And obviously, there's great baseball in the LA City section, so that should be a fun weekend.
Coach, you want to take a couple seconds here to talk about your team right now? What you have coming back, and what are some of the expectations based on everything we're doing now? Everything's kind of truncated in a way.
We're sitting, our district is sitting and waiting to find out how we're going to even go about tryouts right now. And so we are waiting until, I want to say, our dead period's over on the 22nd, so next week. And then we're going to wait in July to see what's allowed by the state to try out. I know there's some opportunity to go watch some kids play, with their travel ball teams. But then again, we don't know if that's happening in California or not. I mean, for example, a lot of our kids are going to Utah quite a bit to go play. And in Arizona, I mean, the families are getting homes out there, renting homes out and playing, which is great. They're continuing to play. It's so difficult right now with the climate that's going on. Our program was young last year. We graduated, that monster class, and we had some very good seniors in that program. I think we had
some. You had a handful.
We definitely had some, and we had, our shortstop, Jordan Andrade, is going to UNLV, and he just graduated with us, and he got called after the first 5 rounds with some money, but it didn't make a lot of sense. It was better for him to go to school, and our number 1 was a kid that was our sophomore when we won, and he's going to Westmont. So we have another kid that was a left-handed hitting middle infielder, third baseman that's going to Grand Canyon. So we had some really good seniors. Mm-hmm. But our underclassmen, I'm telling you, we have really good underclassmen. I mean, I'm pretty excited for the next couple of 2-3 years. We have a shortstop that's committed to USC. His name's Caden Huber. He'll be a senior next year. And we've had great middle infielders, but this kid's like 6'3", 190 right now. Hits from the left side. He played on the north-south team. And we return him, and he's going to play short for us. And he can do it at 6'3". He moves around pretty well. We have a sophomore that's going to be a junior. His name is Jacob Reimer. He signed with Cal State Fullerton. That kid hits a ton. Our yard is not your typical high school field. It's 395 or 400 to center, 375, 330. So they put it out. They hit at our yard. And so when we go to other high schools, they're used to hitting at a yard that's kind of a collegiate level type of yard. And then we have a freshman that is pretty special. His name is Owen Egan. He's a right-handed pitcher outfielder. He has been up to 91 on the mound. He's had visits to UCLA and Vanderbilt, and he's going to be pretty special. And then we had a catcher that we threw in there as a freshman, and he's 6'2", 190 right now. He did a great
nice size, yeah.
He's a dude. He was a kid that pitched and played third base for us, and we told him what our need was, and we told him what the opportunity was, and we had a chance to work with him. And he did really well for us. It was more than expected. So I'm pretty excited about what we got. And, we have a center fielder that runs really well, and he's a junior. And then we have another right-handed pitcher that's a Cal State Fullerton commit, and Wyatt Doty. And he's pretty special. He threw 2 really good innings in the Boris Classic in relief against La Mirada. And that was a tight game. I want to say it was 2-1.
Yeah.
And freshman, he was up to 86. And right now he's up upper 8s. And, we're excited with what we got. Really are.
That Boris Classic, man. That was a gauntlet.
That was fun, man. That was a lot of fun. It was we took third in that. We took third.
That's the nicest way to put it. It's a gauntlet. All the good teams play that.
You can take a coin flip, and anybody could have won that. It was just such an honor to be a part of it, in the caliber of teams you were seeing. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way to prepare for the postseason for sure. Great tournament.
Yeah, Coach,
All right,
when we were
Randy
out there a
Bob.
couple of years ago, we saw Tyson Heaton, your outstanding pitcher,
Mm-hmm.
strike out 15 batters. And again, it's a 7-inning game. That's only 21 outs. So he went on to BYU. How's Tyson doing?
He's doing great. He actually punched out 16. If he saw this, he'd be the first one. Hey, Coach, I punched out 16. He's doing great. I mean, he got some midweek starts. Yeah, he got some midweek starts for BYU. They're going to give him a chance to swing the bat now. So they're going to give him this fall to swing the bat. I think he can do both. I've been coaching for a long time, like 22 years, and I've had a lot of college players and played professional baseball. I think this kid's got a chance. He works so hard, and the natural gift he has, I think he's got a chance to do something special for sure.
That's great, man. That's nothing like coaching and having somebody of that caliber and actually get to coach him. And when we interviewed him, he sounded like a really quality kid, very humble.
He's awesome. The thing about it is, you guys have been around high school athletics for a long time. There was no arrogance in that kid. Maybe then when he gets on the mound and he wants to beat you, but zero entitlement. The parents did such a good job with Tyson. They really did. He's a very humble person, but I tell you what, he's an animal when you put him on the mound. He absolutely gets after it.
That's great. Randy, Bob, give him one question each because we got just a little bit of time left. So go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go to Dick on this one. Dick, in the LA City section, how are we going to get through testing? How are we going to make sure these athletes are healthy enough to get on the field or in the gym?
Well, Randy, as Coach mentioned earlier, first and foremost, the health and safety is the priority here. We are going to be interacting with LAUSD and seeing what they have in mind for the regular season. So let's just say hypothetically, we do start in October or even January with regular season contests. What's the district going to do in regards to testing, contact tracing, and in accordance with the county, health guidelines and measures? Once we learn from that, then we can start planning for our championships because we govern the playoffs and championships. So whatever happens during the regular season, we have no say in regards to testing and any of that, or temperature checks for that matter. But when you get to the playoffs and championships, specifically the semifinals in basketball and football and baseball that we manage, and we manage all the championships, we will have something in place, whether it be temperature checks, testing, we will have something in place. But between now and then, we do have some time to evaluate and learn about this from watching the professional organizations, colleges upcoming in the fall, and then seeing what schools will do, here potentially in the fall workouts if they have some. I know schools began today with temperature checks in certain counties, just doing, not even throwing a football, throwing a towel during drill, emphasizing social distancing. So we're going to learn as we go along, but we will definitely get advice from the LA County Health Department since LAUSD is really part of LA County. So moving forward, we have a lot to learn, but we'll be ready when the championship comes around.
All right, Bob, you get the parting shot. What do you got?
All right, my question will go to Coach then. You obviously you've been in contact with your players. I assume you've talked with parents. What's the feeling you get as far as how parents feel about putting their sons and daughters in the women's sports as well, but putting it, obviously in your case, putting their sons back on a competitive field? Do you get a feeling that parents are uneasy or feeling better about it? Maybe the more we know and the further down the line we get now with this thing.
So I've had some conversations with our parents, and again, this is just our program. It's not indicative of what everybody else is thinking, but a lot of the parents want to put their kids in school just for some normalcy and for just immunity, and I get that. I think the biggest thing is I know that we are looking at 3 options in our school district. One of them is being all online, which a lot of people are doing, including the colleges. The other one is having just school normal. We go back to school normal, whatever that quite looks like. I don't know if that's waivers or social distancing to some measure with masks. Obviously, it'll happen. We will have masks. The other part was kind of a hybrid, kind of a college model to where they're going to school, Monday, Wednesdays, and then Tuesdays, Thursdays, another group, and then on Fridays, a type of online. And that's to, bring down the numbers of people on campus. And so that's kind of what we've seen. A lot of the parents that I've talked to, They do believe, obviously COVID is real, and it is a real threat. It is a real health threat. But I think a lot of parents that I've talked to, for whatever personal reason, would like to see their kids go back to school in normal fashion as best as possible. I know that in our district, as teachers, as a district, we are waiting to see what the California state guidelines are going to be and how our district and our county applies those health standards, and then we're going to follow suit with it. So, it's one of those things where, our parents and our student athletes, want one thing, but then we're going to err on the side of caution. That's the best thing for everybody as far as student athletes and parents and coaches. It's a very unique thing right now.
For sure.
It's just tough for everybody, man. Nobody's used to this. It's nobody's fault. It is what it is. And it's unfortunate. I'd like to thank you both for coming on, but I'm going to leave you with this. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but August is going to be it for pro sports, right? People are supposed to be coming back. And now we don't know about Major League Baseball, but basketball's already looked around the edges of it. Obviously, professional football. The SEC is going straight on with it. They're not even slowing down. It was never a question. Heck yeah, we're playing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I think if everything is fairly normal with that, I think if the high school season is going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine. So that's where I'm going to live. I'm going to live on that side of it instead of the doom and gloom of it, and stop being afraid of it. Unless, if everything works out, like I said, the colleges are going to go headlong first. We're going to see, what's going to happen with that. And if it doesn't spike or there's not a big issue, maybe the worst is behind us and we can just get back to some semblance of normalcy and let these kids have been working all their lives for this moment in high school, man, and finish it out. So that's my hope. That's my dream. Guys, thanks again. Dick Dornan from the LA City section and Ralph Grajeda from Yucaipa High School. Again, thank you guys for joining us tonight here on the SoCal Purple Pulse. On behalf of Randy Rosebloom and Bob Gibson, I'm Richard Stray. Stay long, saying so long. Next week, we'll have Casey Mazzotta with us, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for coming, guys. Have a good evening.
All right.
Take care.